if you could multiply your output by 10? What if you could actually get 10 times more work done than you're currently getting? So how can you do that? How can you get 10 times more work done than you're currently doing? The answer is delegation. That you are not only relying on your own output, but you are actually using other people's output as well. And it's pretty much infinitely scalable. But delegation alone is not going to increase your output if you don't do it properly. Because there's a right way to do it and then there's not so good ways to do it. If you do it the wrong way, you will actually just end up causing more work for you, and that's definitely not the goal. As a manager or leader, you have to be able to delegate. If you are not able to do that, then you will eventually lose your job. You cannot be an effective manager or effective leader if you are not able to delegate. But not only that, you have to be able to delegate well. So in this video, I'm going to give you a specific way how you can delegate. How you can delegate effectively. And on top of that, I will give you a process that can potentially change even your whole life. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. So today's topic is how to multiply your output. So Rockefeller had a really good saying that, I would rather earn 1% of 100 people's efforts than 100% of my own efforts. So what this is talking about is, of course, like delegation, that you are not only relying on your own output, but you can actually take the benefit of other people's output as well. And when we are dealing with people, then it's basically just all about communication. And human beings, we are not like robots, which results in that there's going to be miscommunication and there's going to be situations that we are not really understanding. We didn't really understand what was being delegated. We don't really understand all the details of the project or the task, and there's just can be often like high level of uncertainty. So every time basically when we are dealing with people, it's good to consider this responsibility process model, and because this is basically a tool, this is a framework for handling situations when they go wrong. And typically there will be cases when things go wrong. If everything was fine and dandy all the time, if you're only working with robots, then all right, forget the responsibility process. You don't need it because you're dealing with machines. But when we are dealing with people, we need to take into account different like emotions of the people and the thinking patterns, like behavioral patterns, and that's why we need some tools in order to how to handle those kind of situations. But anyway, coming back to delegation, delegation is a two-way street. So first of all, the delegator. So you have something that you want to give to other people. You have something that you want other people to do. Then it's a question of like how do you delegate that task to others? Or how do you delegate that project that you have to other people? Then second is the delegatee. So how to receive delegation. So someone is giving you a task, then how to receive it in such a manner that the likelihood for success is the highest. And it's all about really communication. So effective communication is crucial to success. So let's take these two things separately. So first of all, how to delegate properly. So it's all about really about communications and being really clear about the communication. So the receiver of the delegation needs to know that what is being expected to deliver, how it will be accomplished, and when it should be completed. So here's a bit of a checklist. So delegation has to be specific, as specific as possible, and it's best when it's in written form, and it really has this purpose and successful outcome is defined. So this means that when dealing, even when you're on Skype calls or Zoom calls with people, you would still write down the task on either just on the chat or Google document or your task management tool. Then it needs to be measurable. The person needs to know that, you need to be able to say that, is it done or not? And then it has to have a deadline. So you gave me a task, but when do I need to do it? Then it's really important that the receiver acknowledges in writing in receiving it. So you don't expect that. It's not like you send a Slack message to someone and then a week later you start asking, hey, where is this thing? So it's acknowledging is really important. Then following up with that person.
Can I jump in and say a few examples?
Sure.
Stories about how it was happening at the beginning. Typically if you just tell some person and the employee that, hey, this is what I need to get done, and this is the deadline, and obviously they start doing it, right? And you don't know exactly how it should be done, right? And then even then when they acknowledge it in writing or whatever, and you don't follow up, then what can happen is that the person doesn't deliver it by the deadline. And if the person doesn't deliver you the delegation by the deadline, and you don't make a scene about it, you don't make this a big thing, then what happens is that you are building a culture where it's fine to not deliver things on deadline. It's fine not to say that, hey, I'm not able to deliver this on deadline. So following up is, I think receiver acknowledges in writing is one of the most important, and following up is, I think, maybe even more important, because when you follow up, you show your interest. Hey, are you getting it done by the date? And later you have to less and less follow up, because you already made clear that deadlines have to be met, or you have to tell us that we cannot meet the deadline, right? And again, you are building the culture. So if you don't care that the deadline is not met, it means that why should your employees care?
Yes, and a common mistake is that, let's say that you have something that want the other person to do, and let's say that you give a deadline 1 week. Let's say that it's some graphic design or whatever. So you need this graphic design done by end of the week. And let's say it's Monday, you give the task to the person, then Tuesday, Wednesday, nothing happens, you don't hear from the person, then it's already Thursday, then it's Friday, and the person shows up and shows you what has been accomplished, shows you the graphic design, and then you're like, it's nothing what I expected. So, and this is really typical when there's really no process for constantly showing your showing increments of the deliverables, meaning that the person shows that, okay, am I on the right track? Did I understand the task correctly? So as was mentioned, all of these build the company culture. So you are building the kind of company that the behaviors for the company that you want to have. And let's face it, so we have so far described that what are the responsibilities of the person who's delegating, and how to really be super effective in delegation. The thing is that, and the reality for a business owner is that sometimes there's just not enough time to delegate properly. Business owner should really be focused on high level things, and really on high level things and the growth tasks. And one thing is that sometimes you have things that just land on your table and you just immediately give those to your team. So the thing is that it's essential to put more weight on the role of the delegatee. So what do I mean with that? So what I mean is that you build this expectation, you build this culture that the delegatee, in order to succeed, I mean, the person who is given this task, this delegation, that person must ask questions, must research what is required, must constantly present like increments of the deliverables, and must adjust it based on your feedback. So these are really, really critical things, because I mean, I can tell you how I'm working with one team, like my marketing team, funnel team, right now. So I mean, a lot of the times I'm just giving them tasks on like different different calls, like team calls, like Skype calls. Then you might say that, hey man, you're not following this process. That's the thing. Like when I built this culture, this expectation for this team, that I mean, it's okay that I give them a task, like just on a call, and then it's their responsibility to write down the whole thing and ask me that what is being required. So this takes really the heavy weight from you, because you're the business owner. You need time to think, and you should not spend like increasing amounts of time in just like writing requirements for different tasks and projects. And you want people who like get the information out of you, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I can give an example here. So I had one research developer on the team, and then I told, like, I gave some delegation about some product, and then next thing you know, the guy says to me that, well, yeah, I mean, like, your delegation wasn't written. You said that you want to have a written delegation, you know, but wasn't really written on our Trello or whatever management tool, right? You know, he's kind of like jumping back on me because I'm not following the rules as well, right? And next thing you know, he said, okay, I said, fine, right? I'm much more soft person than Tony with people, right? For example, right? So fine. Next thing you know, this guy comes to me that next time when I delegated him something, he comes to me back and, hey, your written explanation on delegation is not good enough. So what I want to say is that that you are the company owner, you are building the culture. And you know, if there's only one thing you will learn with dealing the people, then this is the delegation process. If you will really stick to it and learn it and make it, this is gonna save you huge amount of problems and people and time. And you know what? Like I said, the more you give them slack, or you more give them to the people, like the next thing you know, they start giving you things. Like they will start making their own norms that you need to follow. But at the end of the day, you're paying them, not you, right?
Yeah, and if you let them do that, then it's going to happen that, I mean, you are going to be working for your own employees, which makes zero sense, because then you are not able to really focus on the growth of the business. You are not able to be this business owner that is only focused on high level things and really thinking about what can basically like 10x my whole company. Because I mean, otherwise you will be sucked into these daily operations, and that's the last thing to do. And
see, one of the things you can even do this delegation process is when you have kids. You know, I'm not saying that you have to write down in project management tool things for the kids, but it's the same thing with them. Exactly the same thing. You know, if you're not precise and build cultures, the next thing you know that they don't follow your delegation, they don't come back to you, they don't ask questions, they basically, you are building the culture. So if you allow people to misbehave with the delegation process, then you're giving a signal that's okay. It's cool to be sloppy and all this, you know, not follow the rules and stuff like that. Really.
Yeah.
Cool.
And I mean, as a business owner, you are the most important person in the company, because without you, the company doesn't even exist. So this means that you need to really value your own time, and it should not be wasted on like mundane tasks, or really like start writing like requirements and really like specific you shouldn't spend time on operations. So that's why this is really essential. So meaning that you have people, you have like VAs who ask you, yeah, who are really resourceful and have this mindset that, hey, they might say that, I mean, I have no idea what you mean with this task, but I will still, I mean, I will like, what do you mean with this and what do you mean with that? And if it happens that you're not available, then you want people who, I mean, start working on it regardless. So you don't end up in the situation like, well, you didn't answer my messages, so I didn't do anything.
Yeah, that's why resourcefulness is one of the maybe just the first most important skill that the person has to have when you hire them, right? Being able to ask questions, being at the same time being proactive and finding also solutions for themselves.
Yes, you want people who will always find a way. So that's what it's really about, being resourceful.
Can we capture? Can we go back to the last slide for a second and just do the quick recap on delegation? So delegation must be specific, right? As specific as possible. What else? Measurable, specific date, and they have to acknowledge in writing. It's best it's in writing. Acknowledge, hey, can you do it from this time? Yes, I can do it. If they give you the promise, you can hold them accountable, right? And now you need to follow up. Hey, are you going to do that? Because you know what? And by the way, I've been, oh my God, how many times I've been like against the point number 3, following up. I didn't follow up at all. And always what happens is they start working on last minute, or they deliver you on second day, or they just don't follow the deadline. And what happens then is that you are building the culture and you're telling everybody that, hey, whatever I'm telling you doesn't really matter. I'm not authority. You don't really need to tell me if you don't deliver by deadline. You don't need to respect me. Really not good. So yeah. So that cooperation will not work if you don't follow this checklist. And believe me, this checklist has to be, every single point from this checklist has to be met in order to be a really good delegator. And you cannot have any company or any employees if you're not a good delegator. You're gonna be just miserable company.
Yeah, because then you will not reap the benefits that will really come from employees. All right, so that's one part. Let's move on to the next one. So how to receive delegation. So person needs to really understand that what is being expected and when it should be delivered. And this is really important. I mean, if the person is uncertain, then, I mean, the person should immediately reach out directly to the delegator to really ask these clarifying questions. Really, like, if there's something that doesn't really, is not clear, then the person really needs to ask questions. I mean, the person should ask questions in any case. So, and this means that you write this plan of action. So, okay, I receive a delegation from someone, then I clearly just write down the task. So if you're using Asana, you can just write the task on Asana and start writing the different description there, like what are the different areas, requirements for this task. And key questions here is that I just read delegation. So do I understand what I need to do next? Do I understand what is the outcome and what is the goal? Like, why is this being done? Do I understand how to deliver it? So is this just some document I need to do, or do I actually need to, let's say, like build a website for it? Like, what is the expectation that what needs to be done? And do I understand that when I need to complete the task? Like, what is the deadline? So the plan of action is added to the tool where the work is organized. So it can be Asana, Trello, or I mean, whatever tool is being used. So the checklist is that, first of all, I mean, this acknowledgement that I received some task, so I immediately say that, hey, I know that, I mean, I got it. And if I receive a task and I'm really struggling, then it's always, I mean, it's always the person who's being delegated. It's always their responsibility to reach out to the delegator and ask these clarifying questions to really figure out that what exactly needs to be done. Then, I mean, ensure this
And just want to add to that you know what, usually when you delegate something, that the reason you delegate something is because you need to get it done, and you don't even know maybe sometimes how it's going to be done, and like what's the end result exactly. You know, it's really often you give something to people, you don't know how to do it yourself, you know, or you don't even know. Like so it is really important that they always reach out and ask clarifying questions along the way. It's like basically sometimes it's just like it's like a brainstorming with you. You know, I just had a call with just one of my product developer, and then she was spending the life cycle. I mean, she had to get my validation for her idea 2 weeks ago, and she was just not coming to me. And then she came 2 weeks later, and then all her ideas for new product development was not good. And so I was really angry at her. It's like, why didn't you follow the deadline? And of course, I was angry at myself that I didn't follow up on her, right? I didn't check that before, right? And so basically lost 2 weeks of time because she was just, you know, afraid of showing her bad results to me. So people, but then again, you need to teach people that even if I don't come and follow up on you, you have to come to me. It's your responsibility.
And I can give you another example that what I just did like a week ago. So I had an idea for a video, but that was really vague. So I mean, I had one example video. So I mean, I told my team that, hey, I mean, just do something like this. And I don't know what I'm asking, but I mean, just start working on it and start showing me your result like every single day, or at least every other day, because so that we get on the right track. So point is that, I mean, my requirements are super unclear. I have really no idea what I'm asking, but so I have really vague idea, but that didn't stop them from starting to work on it and starting to show me results. And that's really important when you're a business owner, that you build this kind of culture that people just act like this.
Yeah, it's true. And this actually, it's better for everyone eventually.
Yeah, and I mean, same thing applies like if someone like is delegating something to you. I mean, this is a delegating process, so it doesn't mean that it's always the business owner who's delegating. I mean, sometimes there's stuff given to you, and then it just means that the same process is being followed. And we all already talked about deadline. So if person feels that, if I feel that, I mean, I'm not going to be able to get this done on time, then I mean, immediately notify. And then, I mean, the responsibility process is being used, so there cannot be any justification allowed, like Victor mentioned. You cannot, person cannot say that, yeah, I mean, I didn't complete this task because you just gave me some crappy, you didn't give me the requirements or whatever. So main thing for the person who is being delegated something, that is that not asking questions if you are uncertain about anything is not acceptable. So it all comes back to the communication. Communication is really critical.
Yeah, delegation is really a leadership skill, and it's so funny that first years when you had employees, I so overlooked this thing. It always felt me like, oh, this is not so important. We kind of like did the SOP and built the whole thing, but I still didn't kind of follow it. And because it kind of like, I didn't understand why. And then now it's like basically the foundation of like every time I'm delegating something, I'm following. It's like so important. It's like crazy how important this is. It's just insane. So yeah, like first skill for leadership, being able to being precise and get your ideas to the team and keep people accountable.
Yeah, and basically, if you are not able to delegate, then you cannot be a manager, you cannot be a leader. That's pretty much it. All right, cool. Any questions regarding this delegation process?
And one more thing, if you have business partner, for example, this is extremely important also between these people, because last thing you want to have is like suddenly there's like a misunderstanding, and there's finger pointing and all this. Actually, this removes all the finger pointing and all this stuff, you know.
Yeah, and typical thing is that you're having a call and you get some kind of ideas with other people. Then, hey, could you actually do this thing? And then person says, yeah, I can get it done. And okay, after the call, everyone forgets if there's nothing written down. So that's really like vital to immediately write it down somewhere. I mean, at least in the chat, if not anywhere else.
Yeah. So yeah, every single point of this delegation process is important.
Give a thumbs up if you like this video and let me know in the comments your biggest takeaway. If you have any questions, just write on the comments and I will make sure to reply everyone. Remember to subscribe to the channel. If you need my advice or want me to help you, then just hit the link and subscribe to my free training. See you soon.